Oh my goodness. I can't even believe it. Another one from The Last of Us. We're
Yes.
so fortunate, man. We love this freaking show. As you can tell, since we keep having everyone on from it, we have the one and only Gina Louise Phillips coming on the show today to talk about her experience on the historic drama that's on HBO and HBO Max.
Hell yes. It's a very entertaining story. And she gives us a lot of behind the scenes info about how stuff went down, too, which was very cool. And you'll find out definitively, is Pedro as nice as everybody says he is, or is he not? We've got the inside scoop now.
We do, man. We do. But that's later on the show. Now let's get a little crazy. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm. Holy moly, we're on episode 221
Hell
today,
yes.
and you guys know your host with the most, myself, J-Lo Fantastic, and the one and only Mouse.
What's up?
Guys, we're super excited. We're super freaking excited to talk about anything and everything that's going down in Hollywood. But before we get this thing started, of course, be sure to rate the show, comment below, and tell us what you actually think about our podcast. Leaving a rating actually helps the podcast get seen or heard by more people who enjoy entertainment news, plus those who are trying to break into the entertainment industry. We're always about lending the helping hand, and that's what the whole podcast is about. So we want to do that, but we need your help to lend that hand. You're the arm, and we're the hand. We're the where do we cut off? The wrist? Who knows? We knows. Oh my goodness. But before we go into the industry news segment, you guys know, be sure to head over to our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. And it's not just shirts and hats, guys. We have coffee mugs, we have teddy bears, we have phone cases, we have anything and everything that you need in your life right here, right now. You even want a therapy session? Head over to our other podcast, Everything's Okay podcast, where you are not alone, and we are also going through something similar than what you're going through. Man, oh man, we have so much going on, and we're super excited. Be sure to follow us everywhere at Crazy Media, at ITCAFpodcast, so you know when those merchandise items go on sale, because it's very important to get those freaking discounts and all the good things, because things are skyrocketing in price right now. So we just want to lend that helping hand, like I said. But guess what, guys? We are not starting off with Disney today. A lot of people are like, what is going on? What is going on? That is right. We are starting off with the WGA. What does that stand for? Well, that is the Writers Guild of America. Now, we have been loosely talking about this for the past couple weeks on lives, on our Oscar watch party, on social media. So the writers are kind of pissed right now. Okay, guys, they need to be compensated what they are owed and deserved. So we're going to go more in detail on what is going down in Hollywood with all the writers. The Writers Guild of America has proposed the following articles are proposed allowing artificial intelligence to write scripts. Now we're talking about like Chat GPT and things like that, as long as it does not affect writers' credits or residuals. The Guild had previously indicated that it would propose regulating the use of AI in the writing process, which has recently surfaced as a concern for writers who fear on losing out on jobs. But contrary to some expectations, the Guild is not proposing an outright ban of the use of AI technology. Instead, the proposal would allow the writers to use Chat GPT to help write a script without having to share writing credit or divide residuals. Or a studio executive could hand the writer an AI generated script to rewrite or polish. The writer would still be considered the first writer on the project, even though it had that revisions reworked by that AI intelligence. In effect, the proposal would treat AI as a tool like Final Draft or Pencil rather than the actual writer. It appears to be intended to allow writers to benefit from the technology without getting dragged into credit all the debunkles with software manufacturers and all those things. Does not address the scenario in which an AI program writes a script entirely on its own, though, without the help of a person. So there's a lot of things to dive in there. And well, we want to know your thoughts and opinions first on this before we give ours, because this is changing the entertainment industry right now. We talk about all the time how technology is a ever evolving door that helps and or despairs the entertainment industry. So we want to know your opinions. Comment below on Twitter or in our YouTube comment section. Please let us know. But I think it's not a good thing, in my opinion. I just feel like it's going to take a lot of the heart, the soul, the value out of the scripts that are written by someone who might experience something a little along the lines of what they're writing. So it's something that I feel like may get misused, misinformed. And I also feel like, what's the difference between this and basically anybody wanting to write a script now? Like you're taking away the advantage of these writers who have been in the industry for many years. You're taking that credit and that knowledge away from them. Now you're just giving it to artificial intelligence and letting just a random person do whatever they fuck they want. It's like you have to put forth the time and the effort and the value into your work so that you can get recognized, not just let a computer do it. That's just my opinion.
Well, I agree with that, and I'm surprised that the WGA is even considering this, because they're so strict in how you are credited, right? Like, if you guys aren't familiar with it, there are all kinds of, whether you are credited as written by, story by, screenplay by, based on a story by. They have like these very definitive rules about how a person is credited on that film or on that television show. And so how does this come into play then? Like, if because in my opinion, if you let AI write the script, right? Now, if you guys aren't familiar with it, with Chat GPT, you do have to feed it a bunch of information for it to write something, right? Like a screenplay or like a script. But in my opinion, with the best I feel like you could offer as a credit for that would be based on a story by.
Yeah.
Because if you come up with this idea for a story and then you do nothing but feed it into Chat GPT and let it write it, then it's clearly just based on your story because you didn't write it.
Yeah.
You didn't, so I think unless you conceive the story, you put it into Chat GPT, it writes it, and then you go back and you rewrite, right? Because they have rewrites all the time. Writers are brought in to rewrite other people's scripts all the time, and they're still credited as the writer. So unless you go back and rewrite it, change it to make it more human, make things this way, I don't think you should be credited as a writer. You just shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how this is possibly a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? I think any tool, like always, it's good and bad. And I think this is going to be abused. And I think it is going to be to the detriment of writers, because we're going to, like you said, we're going to lose the heart and soul of where you're coming from. ChatGPT doesn't know where you're coming from. It doesn't know emotion. It doesn't know. So dialogue won't be as real. It just, I think this is bad all the way around. If you want to use this to write a description for your film, great, but don't use it to write your film.
Yeah, because I mean,
man.
on the cusp of the writer strike that is potentially about to happen, I feel like this is just another reason for writers just to completely switch up what they do as a profession. They could go into different aspects of the industry, because I feel like they're getting the raw end of the deal when right now they're not getting paid the right wages, especially when they went from having a 21 to 24 episode season down to a 10 episode season and not getting compensated correctly. I mean, due to the streaming platform or streaming structure. But now that you're bringing in artificial intelligence to where, like I said, and like you were mentioning on or touching on, that basically anyone and everyone can do it, and it takes the heart out of the project to where it doesn't make it as connectable, I feel like. So that will definitely draw back some writers who are like, maybe took a year or two off and then see this happening and they're like, why the fuck would I want to come back to this? Like, I'm really interested to see what like a Sorkin or like a Kevin Smith or those type of people who write their own stuff and direct their own stuff have to think about this, because I feel like it will get abused. It will get used in the sense of, they're expecting to get the particular credit and you can't, because you're not the one that is putting forth that time and effort. I feel like, if you want to be a good boxer, You have to train, you have to work out, you have to eat properly. But what this is saying is if you want to be a writer, all you have to do is sit down in front of your phone and or computer screen and give it a little summary and it'll do the rest for you. Like I don't feel like that's necessarily the best way to earn something, you know? I mean, especially in this industry where you have to grind every single day. It's 24/7 and I just don't feel like it's the way to do it. That's not a way to earn your credit, you know? So I don't feel like it's right.
Well, and now what does this do for the writers' power, their bargaining power? Because now that everybody just knows that Chat GPT is there, including the studios, right? If the writers go on strike, if they threaten to go on strike, they're just going to use Chat GPT to write the films.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to be like, well, go on fucking strike. We don't care. We know your idea. We know the premise. We're just going to put it into Chat GPT and go. And like, so does that in all essence take away their bargaining power because they know threatening a strike is not nearly as scary anymore because they'll just have fucking AI write it.
Exactly. Like is this the first step? Are we seeing the demise of the writer? Or can the producer just, like I said, sit down in front of a computer or a phone and then have it retouch a whole story? Are we seeing the demise of that particular part in the industry? I'm kind of scared for it, to be honest.
I am too, because I mean, now what are you going to do when you go into pitch? Are they just buying your pitch and then send you on your way and they have AI write it?
Yeah.
Now we own the pitch, so we own the idea. Now we'll just let artificial intelligence create it. Like, that is terrifying.
It is terrifying because I mean, like we talked about, it's taking away the humanality of it, if that's even a word. But I mean, I just feel like I don't know. It's an ever evolving situation that we're definitely going to stay on top of. But I'm certainly like concerned about the people who are running the DGA because how do they not see this as a problem?
Yeah.
How do they see this as just it is a tool in the sense of writing description or summary or synopsis or things like that, but when you're writing whole scripts, how is that not a problem?
Yeah, and diving deep into it, reading what the WGA had to say about all of it, they claim that they would never allow a script that was purely written by Chat GPT to be used.
Mhm.
To be like, there has to be some sort of human involvement in it or whatever. You have to dive deep because they did release a huge statement because of many people have the same fears that we have. But just because you say you won't, how do we know that?
Yeah.
There's no way to prove that it was or was not human involved. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very scary, especially like it's really a walking thesaurus. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it can like spit out all of these like huge vocabulary words that, in a sense, like some people might not understand if like a whole Chat GPT script was pitched and a movie was produced, directed, all that good stuff, and it's out there. Some people, like the layman people, may not even understand what they're watching because that it was so artificially created that it's just, like I said, not connectable.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to keep watching what comes out. We're going to keep watching what they say about it. Are they going to define the credits? How will you be credited if you use AI? Like, different things. We're going to stay on top of it. We're going to see how this plays out. But it is, as writers, as somebody who's spent a couple of years writing our series and pouring our heart and soul into it with no AI assistance, just us and a pencil and a paper and a keyboard, I take offense to it. I don't know, but like I said, we're going to keep you updated. It's definitely an ongoing story, and as it progresses, we'll have more opinions.
Yeah, we will.
Sure. All right, let's jump over to the Mouse House now, you guys, and we're going to talk about this one too because this came out of nowhere. Everybody was blindsided, including her. Victoria Alonso, Marvel's president of physical production, post-production, visual effects, and animation, basically second in charge of Marvel behind Kevin Feige, was fired earlier this month. Now, while the cause of Alonso's termination is unclear, sources say the decision was made by a consortium, including Human Resources, Disney's legal department, and multiple executives, including Disney Entertainment co-chairman Alan Bergman, to whom all of Marvel Studios reports because he's the head of all the studios. Now, Alonso's longtime boss and Marvel chief creative officer, Kevin Feige, felt mired and in an impossible situation and ultimately did not intervene and had no part in her termination. Now, Alonso, if you guys aren't familiar, has been with the company since the earliest days of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, establishing an enviable 17-year run and watching the studio grow from operating above a Mercedes-Benz dealership in Beverly Hills to being acquired by Disney. Now, during her tenure, the MCU became obviously the highest grossing franchise in film history. Alonso joined the studio in 2006 as chief of visual effects and post-production and helped launch the MCU as a co-producer on 2008's Iron Man. She also served as a co-producer on Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America: The First Avenger. Alonso was upped to executive producer on The Avengers, makes sense, the landmark film, of course, that grossed $1.5 billion and took Marvel to new heights, proving that the concept of a shared cinematic universe could really work. Now, Alonso has served as executive producer on Marvel's subsequent releases and also worked on its Disney Plus TV series. Now, in 2021, she was promoted again to president, physical and post production, visual effects, and animated production. Now, despite her sudden exit, Alonso is going to be credited still as a producer on the upcoming Marvel films Guardian of the Galaxies Volume 3 and The Marvels, plus all the Disney shows that are still coming: Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Echo, and Agatha Coven of Chaos. Now, Alonso's dismissal has raised numerous questions about the behind the scenes workings at the prized content engine, and with them, another unfavorable news cycle for Disney CEO Bob Iger as he attempts to stabilize the parent company amid economic unrest. Now, I have a theory here.
All right.
Feige's untouchable. Okay, everybody knows it. You can't touch Feige. He is Marvel, right? They needed a scapegoat. Everybody is under the general consensus that Phase 4 was underwhelming and just really not that good. And Phase 5, I disagree because I loved Ant-Man, but a lot of people think that Phase 5 has kind of started sputtering, right? It didn't get off to a good start. They needed a scapegoat. They needed somebody to blame for the poor performance, somebody to blame for all the shitty special effects, somebody, and they know it can't be Feige. They can't throw Feige. So they needed somebody to throw under the bus. And I think she is that victim. I think according to inside sources, she was completely blindsided, had no idea it was coming. There was no talk of it. There was no chatter. There was not just, hey, you're fired. I think Disney and all the executives got together and said, look, people are unhappy. We kind of stumbled. We had a little misstep here or there. Somebody has to fucking pay for it. Unfortunately, Victoria is the victim.
It's so crazy because, like, one, I feel like how does Kevin Feige just step to the side and let this happen after a colleague of 17 years who you grown with and built a relationship with from basically the ground up? How does he just step aside and let that happen? I get it. You're like the top producer right now. You're number one on everybody's call list. But I'm a little disappointed in that situation. Like, don't get me wrong, completely admire the guy. He's doing some amazing things with the help of his team, like her. So, I mean, a little disappointed in that situation where he just kind of stepped to the side and just like, hands off. But again, I feel like this is not to look at Phase 4, which made a shit ton of money. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely the most underwhelming phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they topped it off with Black Panther, though, that I thought was absolutely amazing. I liked Ant-Man as well, so I really had no bones to pick with that. But I felt like, it's just you got it to a point to where you're not making these movies, and you and I were talking about this yesterday. It got to a point where you're not making these movies or television shows special anymore. The one or two times a year where you put out these projects, that's when they were special. That's what built up the anticipation. And that's what brought in the rewatch value as well, because you saw it in the theaters and then you were able to buy it on DVD and just keep it and to continue rewatching it. So I thought that was very important that I don't necessarily think we have anymore. And then I also feel like, there's entirely too many, they're introducing too many new characters at one time in Phase 4 where you're like, okay, where is this going? Like, for example, Moon Knight. no one really understands where and how he's going to fit in to the, the franchise timeline, as I like to call it, the ones that, are very established and continue moving forward. And so no one really gets where that one's going to fit in unless you're like comic book people who I have ideas.
I
But
totally have an idea.
well, yeah, but in this for layman people, and it makes it very hard to be a casual fan now. You have to be a diehard fan where you have to watch all of these shows to get where everything connects, which I also think is a setback because not everybody has time for this shit. Like we reported a couple weeks ago with my statistic, there is an infinite amount of new content that's out there just on streamers alone. We're not even talking movies. So to have someone sit down and say, okay, you have to be dedicated to this stuff to where you can watch the franchise movies that come out on the big screen, I feel like is not necessarily fair to everything else that is out there right now, which is really good. There's a lot of really good content out there right now, but I think it's very oversaturated with content, and I feel like it falls victim of, so I just feel like it's a whole mess of things that are happening all at once that you look to place the blame on one person, and I don't necessarily think that's the right thing to do. I feel like it's just the industry that we're living in right now. I mean, it's oversaturated. There's way too many things. It's not special. So it's just, to put all of that on Victoria, I feel like is unfair.
Well, I can put it on one person, and it's not Victoria. I'm going to just flat out say who I think is responsible for it, and that's Bob Chapek. And I know people are going to be like, oh, but she was fired underneath Iger. And like, that's true. Iger's back and she was fired under Iger's watch. But I think she's a victim of Bob Chapek. And I'll tell you why, because the reason it was so oversaturated through phase 4 is because Chapek ordered content, nonstop content for Disney Plus. He fed the beast. He said, we need more content. We need more content. We need more content. And then he hardlined deadlines. You remember all the shit coming left and right about the visual effects, right? She-Hulk looked like shit, or this didn't look good, or that didn't look good. Well, apparently there was a lot of hard deadlines, and poor Victoria had to become like this uber bitch on top of her teams to try to meet these deadlines in fear of not getting there and Chapek being pissed. And so she became hard and she came down hard, and that didn't go over well with a lot of the visual effects and post-production people, which kind of started to give her a bad rep, but I think it was all, hey, we've got Disney Plus. We're competing. We're seeing subscribers grow. We've got to take down Netflix. Content. Knowing that Marvel was the beast, that everybody wanted Marvel, Chapek overstepped. And that's something that Iger would have never done. Oh, the entire run of Iger and Feige was, hey, let's put one out, maybe 2 every year. Nothing crazy. Let's build it up. Let's get them wanting it. Let's make them wait a little bit, right? And I even think that when they kicked off Disney Plus, had Iger still been in charge for the long haul of Disney Plus, it would have been spread out. It would have been, okay, hey, Loki's a great start, or that's awesome, or Falcon, and let's wait now. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. And then it would be okay to tie into the movies because you'd only have 2 movies coming out that year and only 1 series or maybe 2 series, but they would be spread so far apart that you would be anticipating and you would be able to watch them in time to watch what you're supposed to watch. Not all these delays and all these things. That wholeheartedly, I believe, falls on Chapek and the mismanagement of the company and the mismanagement of understanding the streaming business. And unfortunately for Victoria, like I said, I think she's the victim of. They needed a scapegoat. And I'm sure Iger's not happy about it. Iger's a good man, and I'm sure he is not happy about someone having to take the blame. But there are shareholders, and you have to answer to the shareholders, and they want somebody to blame. And so this is the business of it, and sometimes it's not a nice business. I agree with you, though. I think that Feige should have fought for her, and I'll tell you why. Because remember, Iger fought for you. Mm-hmm. When shit wasn't going your way with Ike and you weren't allowed to do what you wanted to do or use characters that you wanted to use, Iger went to bat for you. Iger fought for you and in essence benched Ike so that you could take over and do what you wanted to do. And I feel like that's the move that you should have made. I get it. Look, I get it. Feige recently came out and all but said, he hinted, he didn't directly say it, but he hinted and all but said he wants Bergman's job. He wants to eventually be the guy that's in charge of all the studios. So he doesn't want to piss Alan off. He doesn't want to piss that group off. I get that. But you also got to defend your people. You're in a position to take over Alan's job if he decides to walk away because of the success you've seen. And that success is because of your team and people like Victoria. So to not go to bat for her, I think was a mistake, especially since people in the company have gone to bat for him to help him get where he was. I just think it would have been the right move for him to do.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably a good point. He probably didn't because it would jeopardize his future with the company.
Right. And you don't want to get fired when you know you're potentially going there.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. It's like you've made, I understand that. And we both understand that, you got to play the game. You got to do what you got to do. But at the same time, you didn't get to where you're at right now without making ballsy decisions. So he has to do what he feels is right. And I honestly think he just dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah.
But that's it right there, man. I mean, it's a very interesting situation. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it continues moving forward and how Phase 5 will continue to be reacted to. Because so far, I'm loving it. So I have no problems with it. But I feel like maybe we're in the part right now where it's not superhero fatigue. They're just expecting superhero perfection. And you're not going to get that every single time. Not every Marvel project is going to be Infinity War Endgame level. You have to lower your expectations a little bit and just have fun with the movies. That's what they're for. They're not supposed to dissect every single little tiny part. But that rant's over. There it is.
Yeah. And Iger, if you guys have been listening the past couple of weeks, just one last thing on this. Iger is slowing the shit down. He came right in and said, let's slow this shit down. We don't need boom, 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 boom. So it's back into the proper hands. You know, he's not going to kill it.
For sure. And fans' expectations, again, slow down.
Agreed.
That's my biggest thing. But anyway, we're heading over to new things that are happening also at Disney. Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight is set to write the screenplay for an untitled Star Wars movie that Shirim Abed-Chinoy from Ms. Marvel is attached to direct. That's very exciting.
Yep.
And the original screenwriters Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson also this is a little they have departed this project. The movie is widely expected to be among Lucas's film's first Star Wars film since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. It's crazy that it's been that long already.
Oh, yeah.
More information about the movie, including possible title, is expected to be announced at Star Wars Celebration in London in April. So right around the corner, guys. We'll see how it goes. And I mean, May the 4th is also around the corner. So a lot of news, I bet, is about to come out about whole bunch of stuff about the Star Wars galaxy far, far away soon.
Yeah, and this is another one that's been on hold forever, canceling things. We were supposed to get a bunch of movies, and they've all been just shelved. So now maybe they're kind of figuring that out too, because, right, it's about time. We've gotten a shit ton of shows, but we want to see some movies too. So I don't know. Hey, were you a fan of Jar Jar? Love him or hate him, guess what? Jar Jar was back. Sort of. Actor Ahmed Best, who of course played Jar Jar, returned to the Star Wars universe in this week's episode of The Mandalorian. Spoiler alert. But instead of playing the infamous Gungan, Best made his return as a Jedi named Kelleran Beck. It gets even better, guys. Not only was he a Jedi, but in the newest episode titled The Foundling, Best appears briefly in a flashback to Order 66 when the clone troopers betrayed the Jedi and ruthlessly murdered nearly everyone. Best's Jedi Knight Kelleran saves a young Grogu who found himself alone facing a group of clone troopers. Now, Kelleran saves the little alien and dispatches the enemies with his two lightsabers, allowing Grogu to escape him with him on a ship. The episode ends without really showing where Kelleran and Grogu fly off to, opening up the possibility of Best to reappear later on so that we can clear up where that came from and where did Grogu and how did he get where he was and all that kind of good stuff. So, but that's exciting. I think it's cool because he got so much hate and for unnecessary hate. So I'm glad they brought him back and let this man just have some quality time.
Agreed. Well, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. Why do those guys sound familiar? Oh yeah, they just won an Oscar for directing this past month. They are known as the Daniels. They have helmed a new episode of the upcoming Star Wars series Skeleton Crew for Disney Plus.
That's cool.
After kicking off filming last summer, production has reportedly wrapped in recent months. While incomplete list for directors on the Skeleton Crew remains unannounced, sources indicate that the Daniels helmed one episode of the upcoming season. Now, Daniels completed principal photography on their episode of Skeleton Crew before the duo became Oscar winners earlier this month, taking home trophies for the original screenplay, Best Director, and Best Picture. They just swept the Oscars this year.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. I'm excited to see their episode because, they're fucking talented as shit.
They are.
Disney Plus has landed a ginger. A 4-part Ed Sheeran docuseries, The Sum of It All, that is set to premiere May 3rd. The project comes from Disney-branded television and Fullwell 73 Productions. Adele, One Night Only, was what they've done previously. It coincides with the May 5th release of Sheeran's latest album, a.k.a. Subtract, from Atlantic, of course. Now, Ed Sheeran, The Sum of It All, promises to offer a candid look into the British star, his family, and his rise to superstardom after suffering with a stutter as a child. All 4 installments of Sum of It All will drop on May 3rd. It's part of a wave of adult-oriented music specials and documentaries coming to Disney Plus as the platform seeks to broaden its content offering and household-wide appeal. On March 17th, Disney Plus launched its exclusive U2 Bono and the Edge special, a sort of homecoming with David Letterman, of course. So, yeah, they're all in on that stuff.
They did. They released the Miley Cyrus one, too. So it's very interesting. All of these streamers doing this right now. Julianne Hough is set to return to Dancing with the Stars Ballroom, and this time she is going to be the host.
Oh.
The news comes on the heels of Tyra Banks getting axed at the hosting gig for season 32. Alfonso Ribeiro will return as co-host, and Carrie Ann Amdiba, Bruno Tallini, and Derek Hugh are set as judges. Now, Hugh's new tenure at Dancing with the Stars comes as Disney continues to grow the program, which was a mainstay on ABC from 2005 to 2021. The company last year decided to run the show exclusively on Disney Plus, possibly to generate a larger audience simultaneously for the streaming venture. But I don't necessarily think it's doing too well with the exit of the host and the numbers just continuing to go down. So they need to cancel that one, man. Just cancel it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure if it can rebound. Neil Patrick Harris, we all saw this one coming, is set to reprise his star-making role of Barney Stinson on the upcoming mid-season finale of the Hulu original spinoff series, How I Met Your Father. Now, Harris was, of course, a main cast member and fan favorite on the original CBS comedy series, How I Met Your Mother, which ran for 9 seasons after debuting in 2005. Harris earned 4 Primetime Emmy Award nominations for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series over the course of the show in 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2010. Harris will appear in next week's 2-episode mid-season finale of How I Met Your Father, which debuts on Hulu on March 28th. After the duo of installments, the series will take a hiatus for a few weeks before continuing its 20-episode second season on May 23rd. So that's exciting. I'm pumped.
All the super exciting things about this franchise. And also Hulu's How I Met Your Father will make its linear debut next month on Freeform, marking it the first time the series has been available off of Hulu. Now, How I Met Your Father will bow Tuesday, April 25th on Freeform, starting with the first 2 episodes, the pilot and FOMO, at 10 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Episodes will continue to air back-to-back each week, culminating with the season finale on May 23rd. Hulu will continue to also offer How I Met Your Father episodes for streaming as well. That's not going anywhere, so don't be afraid of that. How I Met Your Father premiered back in January of 2022. The comedy is currently in the midst of its 20-episode second season, having returned earlier this winter, and it's going over very well. We are really enjoying it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm excited to see how they continue moving
Oh,
forward.
me too. Me too. Eva Longoria's upcoming movie Flamin' Hot will premiere simultaneously on Disney Plus and Hulu, marking the first feature film to debut on both platforms. Following its world premiere at South by Southwest, where it won the Audience Award, Flamin' Hot will land on the streaming services on June 9th. Now, the film from Searchlight Pictures will also be available on Disney Plus internationally. Flamin' Hot is inspired by the true story of Richard Montañez, who, as a Frito-Lay janitor, disrupted the food industry by channeling his Mexican-American heritage to turn Flamin' Hot Cheetos from a snack into an iconic global pop culture phenomenon. Now, prior to the film's release, Montañez's claims were disputed by a Los Angeles Times report, which claimed he wasn't involved in the creation of the spicy snack at all. Montañez disputed the Times story, saying, "All I have is my history, what I did in my kitchen." Frito-Lay parent company PepsiCo issued a lengthy statement expressing support for Montañez, though it did not challenge the Times reporting.
It's very interesting, and
Wait.
I'm glad that they didn't completely stop what they were doing with this film because of that Times report. So
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's interesting, though, that they would say they support him, but then not challenge the report that he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Exactly. It's like that doesn't really make any sense, but whatever. Fox, they have renewed its drama Accused and Alert
Yes.
Missing Persons unit for their sophomore seasons to air in 2023 and 2024. Both Accused and Alert are co-produced by Sony Pictures and Fox Entertainment. Their pickups follow Fox's recent renewal for the Cleaning Lady for the third season. So they're rocking and rolling with a couple of renewals there.
Oh, heck yeah. And no surprise with Accused. I mean, it came right out of the gate strong. And holy shit, if you didn't watch this week's episode with Jason Ritter,
Do it.
directed by Michael Chiklis, by the way, fantastically. Go check that episode out. You're going to love that series. All right, let's jump over to the Bunny, Warner Brothers Discovery. Shazam! Fury of the Gods did indeed open at #1 in North America, but the Warner Brothers and DC Comics sequel fell far short of expectations with a disappointing $30.5 million debut from, get this, 4,071 theaters. Heading into the weekend, the film was expected to collect better than that, 35 to 40 million, which already wasn't all that spectacular since it cost north of $110 million to make and another $100 million to market. It's a substantial drop, obviously, from 2019 Shazam, the first comic book installment starring Zachary Levi's quirky hero, which that one opened at 53.5 million and ended its box office run with 140 million domestically, 366 million globally. It's also one of the worst starts in the DC cinematic universe, other than the pandemic era releases like Wonder Woman 1984, which only did 16.7 million, and the Suicide Squad, which only did 26 million. Which both opened simultaneously, remember, on HBO Max, which clearly hurt their box office. At the international box office, Shazam 2 added only another 35 million from 77 markets. So its total global start, y'all, $65.5 million.
Yeah. Personal preference, personal opinions aside, everybody online were talking about how it was a fun movie, but I just feel like if you don't have the backing of the studio or HBO co-CEOs, then I feel like it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And then all the commercials, they blew all the secrets, all the cameos. They showed you all the good stuff that you should never fucking show, so nobody had to go see it. Like, it's just, what the fuck?
Exactly. Well, HBO Max is developing a drama series based on the life of Heidi Phyllis. The untitled series hails from writer and executive producer Maggie Cohn, also who recently served as co-showrunner on HBO Max's critically acclaimed limited series, The Staircase. Now, Phyllis will serve as a consultant on the project. She was formerly operated a prostitution ring in Los Angeles that reportedly catered to wealthy clients such as actors, sports figures, directors, business executives, and more, earning her the nickname the Hollywood Madam. She was arrested in the early 90s on multiple charges and ultimately served nearly 2 years in prison. Should the project go forward, it would be the first time that Phyllis' life has been portrayed on screen. Now, USA Network aired the made for TV movie Call Me, The Rise and Fall of Heidi Phyllis in 2004 with Jamie Lynn Sigler starring as Phyllis. So that's very interesting. I had no idea about this story.
Oh, well, I'm waiting for a comment from Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen was the first celebrity to get busted and kind of publicly outed as one of her clients.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, no doubt. And he didn't care. He was like, yeah, I am, and she is, and who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, that's kind of like when that happened, that's kind of what started the massive downfall of her,
Charlie,
because he threatened and she threatened to expose everybody else that's in that black book. And so, yeah, it got ugly real quick.
For sure.
But
as it does.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Paramount Pictures, I'm super excited about this one, y'all, has preemptively acquired a remake of Alfred Hitchcock's 1958 classic psychological thriller Vertigo as a possible starring vehicle for RDJ himself, Robert Downey Jr. The actor is producing the project with his wife Susan Downey through their Team Downey production company, along with John Davis and John Fox via Davis Entertainment. Now, Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight, there he is again, is set to write this script. Wow, he's a busy guy. The original Vertigo starred James Stewart, of course, as John Scotty Ferguson, a San Francisco police detective who retires due to a paralyzing fear of heights brought on by severe case of vertigo. After he's hired to tail an acquaintance's wife, played by Kim Novak, Scotty becomes obsessed with her, but his fears render him powerless to save her when she climbs the tower of a Spanish mission and plunges to her death. And then things really get strange. Yeah, that's right. That's not the end of the movie. Gets a whole lot more crazy after that. That's awesome though. Robert Downey Jr. is going to kill in that role.
So I have a question for you, because we are ultimately like always against remakes and reboots. If it wasn't for Robert Downey Jr., would you be against this project?
Yeah. I think that handled properly. I mean, and this is a touchy one because this is really considered one of the greatest films of all time. It's in the list of by numerous film people. It's in the Smithsonian. It's one of those films that like maybe you shouldn't touch. But I just trust RDJ and Susan. Everything that they've come out, when everybody said, don't touch Perry Mason, don't touch it. Perry Mason on HBO is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like he's been doing a really good job with taking these type things and doing them originally, even though they're remakes. So
you remember Doolittle?
Yeah. He did say he did Doolittle so that he could do his other shit that they weren't too fond of.
Yeah.
So I mean, he just took that one. He's like, okay, fuck it. In my opinion, Robert and Susan probably went, "Are you fucking kidding me?" But then they're like, well, you can do this movie if you do this. And they probably said yes.
Yeah. So it goes to show you, all the old timers out there, they will approve of your movies if you are a critically acclaimed actor or person who has been successful.
Right.
So there it is. If you young up and comers try to remake it, you're not going to get support. Essence Atkins and Tatiana Jackson have signed on to star in an untitled CBS pilot starring Damian Wayans and Damian Wayans Jr. That's awesome.
Yeah.
In addition, Andy Ackerman has signed on to direct the pilot. The multicam pilot was first announced at CBS back in February. Per the official logline, legendary talk show radio host and happily divorced Papa, who's played by one of the Wayans, has his point of view challenged at work when the new female co-host is hired, and an at-home where he finds himself still parenting his adult sons, Wayans Jr., and a brilliant dreamer who is trying to pursue his passion while being a responsible father and husband. This sounds like it'll be good. I mean, the Wayans brothers are coming back into the limelight recently, so I feel like it'll be very successful because everybody's like, I remember those guys win, so I'm excited for that one.
Yeah. And the funny thing watching this one is going to be they look exactly fucking alike.
They do.
Damon Wayans Jr. is like a clone of his daddy. It's going to be really fun to watch. The L Word Generation Q canceled at Showtime after 3 seasons, guys. Sorry. But a reboot of the original series is actually in the works. Now, set over 10 years after the original L Word, the L Word Generation Q followed a group of LGBTQ friends who live in Silver Lake, Los Angeles as they navigate sex, life, and love. Now, despite Generation Q's cancellation, the L Word franchise may still live on as there is a reboot, like I said, of the original 2004 series, which ran for 6 seasons. It's in development with creator Lean Chakin attached. The L Word New York is the series' working title.
Interesting.
So, okay. So they're just moving from California to New York and trying again.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty. Well, heading over to NBC Universal, Jordan Peele's next film is coming to the big screen just in time for Christmas of 2024. Universal Pictures, which released the filmmaker's prior features like Get Out, Us, and the latest installation is Nope, added the untitled fourth film directed by Jordan Peele to its release calendar. It's set to open in theaters nationwide on Wednesday, December 25th of 2024. On its current date, Peele's upcoming project will premiere 1 week after James Cameron's Avatar 3 and Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which will both debut on December 20th of 2024. Universal's big screen adaptation of Wicked the Musical was previously slated to land on the same weekend, but the studio recently pushed it up to Thanksgiving. We reported on that last week. Now, in the announcement about Peele's film, Universal also scheduled an untitled Monkey Paw film, which is Peele's production company, set to release September 27th of 2024. And it took an untitled animated event off its slate completely. So that's going to be very interesting. And I mean, this guy is like one of the hottest things in Hollywood right now. He's the one coming with the new ideas. So basically anything he wants, he's going to get.
No doubt. No doubt. Speaking of, I would pretty much watch anything this guy is in because he's a freaking phenomenal actor. Eddie Redmayne has been cast in The Day of the Jackal, Peacock and Sky's upcoming reimagining of Frederick Forsyth's novel and Universal's film of the same name. He will also executive produce the thriller series. Redmayne will play the Jackal, who is hired by the OAS, a French dissident organization, to kill then president of France, Charles de Gaulle. Redmayne recently starred opposite Jessica Chastain, of course, in Netflix's The Good Nurse. So, yeah, I'm all in on this. The Jackal was a great movie, so I think this will be pretty good.
Is it like Headless Horseman type of stuff? Or, I mean, that's what it reminds me
of. Oh, yeah, no. It's like FBI espionage type stuff, yeah.
For sure. Well, Allison Tolman has been cast in the St. Denis Medical, a comedy pilot at NBC from Superstore and American Auto creator Justin Spitzer. The pilot is described as a mockumentary about a underfunded, understaffed Oregon hospital where the dedicated doctors and nurses try their best to treat patients while maintaining their own sanity. Tolman will play Alex, supervising nurse at St. Denis Emergency Department, who is dedicated to providing excellent customer service and care to her patients, often sacrificing her personal life to maintain her high standards. This is definitely going to be a jab at that whole industry because as we all know and saw, the nurses just had a big strike out, and I think it was either Oregon or Seattle or somewhere like that. So this is just going to be a big stab at that.
Yeah, I think this is the next generation Scrubs.
I think so.
You know, we'll see. Fingers crossed. Jumping over to Lionsgate, John Wick is back for the 4th time and heading towards a franchise record opening with John Wick Chapter 4, the latest installment in the gunslinging, knife-throwing action franchise. Now, Lionsgate's 4th entry opened with $8.9 million in previews last night at the domestic box office and is aiming to set a new franchise record in the box office debut. The latest installment in Lionsgate's action thriller series, led by Keanu Reeves, of course, as a legendary assassin, looks to collect a mighty $65 to $70 million from 3,800 North American theaters over the weekend. The movie movie also debuts this weekend in 71 territories at the international box office. By Sunday, ticket sales should climb to at least 100 million to 115 million worldwide. Each film in the John Wick franchise, get this is a good sign, has managed to dramatically improve upon its predecessor at the box office, which, as everybody knows, is rare. Beginning with 2014's John Wick, made 14 million to start. 2017's John Wick Chapter 2, 30.4 million. 2019's John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, 56.8 million. And now, of course, Chapter 4 earning some of the best reviews of the already well-received pack, should continue that trend. It did cost more than 100 million to produce, giving it the highest price tag out of the series so far. John Wick 4 is the only new nationwide release, so it should have no problem overtaking Shazam at the #1 box office. No, considering its domestic opening weekend is supposed to match Shazam's global, so yeah, I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, my goal for this weekend is to sit you down and watch the first one.
Yeah, no, I really have to go back and watch this
Hasn't
franchise.
seen a single one, guys.
I haven't. I know. It's just, and not for no reason.
Yeah,
I just haven't gotten around to. But yeah, I definitely want to see it.
Tomorrow I'm sitting you down and we're watching this. I'm super excited about it, though. This next one we're also super excited about because it looks so original and so epic. Amazon's MGM, Amazon Studios, is taking to the streets to promote Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's Air, which chronicles the beginnings of the iconic Air Jordan sneaker brand. The studio has teamed up with iconic sneaker culture icon Jason Mark to host a multi-city consumer experience dubbed Fresh Air, which ties into the film's social campaign. Now, a shoe is just a shoe until I step into it. The activation will see a guerrilla street teams flood U.S. cities, including Los Angeles, New York, Miami, and Chicago, and a unique opportunity to bring together sneakerheads and celebrate the culture and history of the sneaker community. The street team will also have a presence at the Jason Mark flagship store in LA. The film is set to be released on April 5th. We're super excited about that. And yeah, if they get the sneakerheads behind this, the sneakerheads are such a this fucking community is so big and so deep. So if they get the sneakerheads behind this, it's going to have a massive opening weekend.
Yeah. So think about that. That is brilliant fucking marketing by Affleck and Amazon and stuff, because that's the key to getting that movie successful is the sneakerheads. So fucking brilliant. This is also brilliant. Amazon released the first official trailer for its Emmy-winning comedy series, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. The upcoming 5th and, in case you didn't know, final season will have a total of only 8 episodes. The season will premiere with 3 episodes on my birthday, April 14th, following by 1 new episode each Friday until the May 26th series finale. Now, in the 5th season, plot has been kept under wraps, but according to Amazon, Midge finds herself closer than ever to the success she's dreamed of, only to discover that closer than ever is still so goddamn far away.
Interesting. I love it, though. It's a great series, and it'll be interesting to see how Amazon continues moving forward after this one. And what will the Paladinos do?
Yeah.
That's the real question. Well, the Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid series in the works at Amazon has found its showrunners. Alex Metcalf has boarded the show, currently titled Butch and Sundance. As showrunner, executive producer, series creators Kaz Firpo and Ryan Firpo will serve as co-showrunners and executive producers alongside Metcalf. Now, the Frippos, I feel like I'm saying hippos, most recently wrote the screenplay for the Marvel film Eternals. So, Amazon has ordered the show straight to series. The show was first reported as being in development back in September, with Rajon Page attached to play Cassidy and Glenn Powell playing the Sundance Kid. At the time, it was reported that deals for the show were not yet closed and discussions were ongoing, but I'm super excited about it because, one, Glenn Powell is like on top of the world right now with all the aviation shit, and Raji Jean Page is still on top of the world from Bridgerton. I mean, rocking and rolling, and he's going to be on top of the world with the new Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Hell yeah!
So I mean, they're both just killing it.
No, that's going to be a great Butch and Sundance. That's going to be a really good pairing right there. Ciaran Hinds, Rory Kinnear, and Tanya Moody have joined the cast of The Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power ahead of the series' second season. Hinds, Kinnear, and Moody will feature in recurring roles through the upcoming season, which is currently in production in the United Kingdom. Hinds is an Irish actor, while Kinnear and Mood are both British. Details regarding their characters remain, of course, under wraps. Hinds, Kinnear, and Moody join an already expansive cast of the series adapted from the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. The Rings of Power featured 23 series regulars during its first season, playing elves, ents, dwarfs, Harfords, orcs, humans, etc. The first season of The Rings of Power concluded its 8-episode run in October of 2022. The second season is reportedly expected to release next year, 2024.
So, personal opinion and professional opinion. I feel like Amazon is going to fulfill their obligation to this one and then just be done with it.
I think so too. I don't think it's anywhere near what they thought it was going to be,
No.
and they coughed up a shit ton of money.
Yeah, I feel like they also just took too long to develop it and put it out there.
They ditched Peter Jackson.
Yeah, like why the fuck would you do that? But anyway, Emmy winner Michael Chiklis, like we were talking about earlier, is set to star alongside Danny Pino in Hotel Cocaine, MGM plus upcoming crime thriller from creators Chris Branaco. Hotel Cocaine is the storyline of Roman Copti, a Cuban expat who fought against Fidel Castro in the Bay of Pigs invasion and remade his life in Miami. Where else would you want to remake your life?
Right.
He is a general manager of a Mutini hotel, a glamorous antecessor of the Miami cocaine scene of the 70s and early 80s. The Mutini Hotel was Casablanca on cocaine. The glitzy nightclub, restaurant, and hotel frequented the Florida businessmen and politicians, international narcos, CIA, and FBI agents, models, sports stars, and musicians. Chiklis will play Agent Zulo, who will stop at nothing to shut down the drug trade, even when it means using innocent civilians to accomplish his ends. Oh, goodness, that sounds fucking hardcore. So that sounds like it'll be good.
Hell yeah. Anytime Chiklis plays a cop, I'm all in.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bankable
one. For sure. On the heels of a breakout performance in The White Lotus Season 2, Will Sharp has been tapped to direct Crying in H Mart for MGM's Orion Pictures. The coming-of-age tale based on Michelle Zauner's beloved memoir, which spent over 60 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, follows a half-Korean daughter who returns to small-town Oregon to care for her Korean mother. Critical and smothering Chung Mi and creative and independent Michelle struggle to understand each other across a cultural fault line, only learning to see and accept one another through their formative power of music and the vibrant flavors of Korean cooking.
Interesting.
Oh.
Experiencing all the stuff, man. Experiencing all the stuff. Well, newly minted Oscar winner Jamie Lee Curtis is set to guest star in the upcoming Amazon comedy series, The Sticky. It was previously announced that Curtis would executive produce the series, which was ordered at Amazon back in April of 2022. Now, in addition, Gulmay Sierra plays Louis Sierra and from Louis Sierra, and the new life of Paul Schneider has joined the show in one of its leads roles alongside Margot Martindale and Chris Danitaropoulos. Production is now underway on the series in and around Montreal. As we previously announced, the series is inspired by the true story of the Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist, in which 70% of the world's global maple syrup supply was stolen and nobody got their pancakes. It's fucking crazy.
It's just insane. How can you do that? Jumping over to Netflix. Netflix has closed a deal to develop the 2022 best-selling Riley Sager novel, The House Across the Lake, developing as a potential directing vehicle for Paul Feig. Now, the film will be produced by Berlanti Shatner Films and Feigco, with Sarah Scheider, Greg Berlanti, and Mike McGrath producing for Berlanti, and Feig and Laura Fisher for Feigo. In The House Across the Lake, Casey Fletcher is a recently widowed actress trying to escape a streak of bad press. She retreats to the peace and quiet of her family's lake house in Vermont. Armed with a pair of binoculars and several bottles of bourbon, she passes the time watching Tom and Catherine Royce, the glamorous couple living in the house across the lake. They make for good viewing. A tech innovator, Tom is rich and a former model. Catherine is gorgeous. In The House Across the Lake, Casey Fletcher is recently widowed and trying to escape. So she just goes there and spends time to watch the people across the lake. That's
That kind of sounds sketchy and a little perverted, but who knows, man?
yeah.
I mean,
just
fucking some weird shit happens at lakes and cabins, and like, I want to
It's
stay
true.
surrounded by people, man. I'm just saying, fucking scary shit. Well, Netflix is bringing back the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers cast for the 30th anniversary special titled Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. Premiering April 19th, the Netflix special features many of the original beloved heroes, including Blue Ranger Billy Cranston, David Yost, the first Black Power Ranger Zach Taylor, Walter E. Jones, and Barbara Goodson, the voice of the villain Rita Repulsa. And it also includes Catherine Sutherland, the second Pink Ranger, Stephen Carnitas, the second Red Rangers, Karan Ashley, the second Yellow Ranger, and Johnny Yo Bosch, the second Black Ranger. Now, in the special, the Rangers reunite to fight Rita Repulsa, who is revealed to have killed Trini, the original Yellow Power Ranger. One notable absence is the late Jason David Frank, the actor who played Tommy Oliver, the Green Ranger, the White Ranger, and basically any and all of the other Rangers. He died back in November of 2022. We reported on that one. This is why mental health is so big. Hopefully they do a nice memorial segment during the special. I think that would be very necessary and very needed. But I know a lot of us 90s, early 2000s kids are looking forward to this one.
Oh, yeah, without doubt. I think it's going to go over well. Netflix's live-action adaptation of the popular video game Gears of War moves one step closer as Academy Award-nominated screenwriter John Spehes has boarded the project. Best known for co-writing Dune, Dune Part 2, and Doctor Strange, he will now take on the challenge of adapting Gears of War as one of gaming's richest and most acclaimed video game sagas, with over 40 million copies sold. Netflix's Gears of War movie marks the latest attempt to adapt the popular game, which is credited with redefining the tactical third-person and cooperative shooter genre. New Line Cinema briefly had the rights to the film adaptation back in 2007, and then Scott Stuber, now the head of original films at Netflix, came on as a producer in 2013 with Epic Games. Universal then hired F. Scott Fraser to write the adaptation in 2018, but no other moves were made on that project. So let's hope it sees it this time, right?
Exactly. Well, guys, Netflix is not a joke because they take all things comedy seriously.
Yes.
Comedian Taylor Tomlinson has sealed the deal at Netflix for her next 2 stand-up specials to premiere on the streamer. Tomlinson is currently touring her latest show, which will tape later this year in Washington, D.C. for a 2024 premiere date. This will be Tomlinson's 3rd and 4th special for Netflix. Her hour-long stand-up debut, Quarter Life Crisis, premiered on the platform back in 2020, followed by Look at You in 2022. Tomlinson noted that her next special will be shot at the end of this current tour, currently dubbed as the Have It All Tour, right around the time she's about to turn 30. Much of her material is Time Out explores what it's like to be at that life of crossroads where your life is starting to take off while other parts are not, and all of these different things. We love her comedy, and Emily and I had the pleasure of meeting her. She is very talented, so everybody check out her content. It's really good.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's exciting. Yeah, I love the comedy specials on Netflix. They are killing it there. Let's jump over to Apple to wrap things up. Apple is reportedly planning to invest $1 billion, yes, billion with a B, per year to make films that will play exclusively in cinemas. Yeah, not on the streamer, in cinemas. The news, which was first reported by Bloomberg, comes months after Amazon's similar commitment to putting 12 to 15 new movies in theaters annually. Now, in the past, most of Apple's previous original movies were either exclusive to the streamer or were granted just limited theatrical runs. Coda, for example, which eventually brought in Apple's first Oscar for Best Picture, screened in only select theaters, but grosses weren't reported. Now, Coda seems to be an exception. Other expensive tentpoles like Tom Holland's PTSD drama Cherry or the animated Luck came and went without much fanfare at all. So I like to see this, though. I mean, not only is it good for theaters and it's good for movie lovers, but it's good for them too, because inevitably it'll draw people to their streamers. So I mean,
I agree, guys. I agree. Well, now it is time for the one and only Gina Louise Phillips to come on the show. Oh my goodness, this is such an inspiring interview. All the up and comers are gonna love it. I know you've probably heard us say that before, but we're serious. We're very sincere when we say that every single time. She is such a gem of a person, and I'm really excited for you guys to hear her dynamic and how, like, when she got the role, how excited her family was, specifically her brother-in-law. So it's a very good, just wholesome, family feel good interview. Everybody's gonna love it.
hell yeah. And you know what? She proves that you don't have to go the ordinary way. She got the role because she made the decision to move.
Yeah.
And if she had never moved to spend more time with family, she'd have never ended up on The Last of Us.
Exactly.
Like, so that, I mean, I love that. This is a really good one to listen to, you guys.
Agreed. Well, here she is. And if you're watching this on YouTube, guys, the interview is available right now. So be sure to check that out after listening to the rest of the show. Like we said, it's so good. She's so nice, so humble of a person. So you're not going to miss that one. But now let's continue with the rest of the show.
Yes.
All right, now it is time for the top 5 segment. And man, oh man, are you ready to break out the tissues? Man, it is top 5 saddest moments / scenes on television this week. Number 5 for me, I just had to throw this out there for Little Cam. Honorable mention. She made it on my list. Congratulations to you, Emily. It's going to be the Gilmore Girls when Richard, the Papa Gilmore, almost dies of a heart attack. Man, oh man, it's such an emotional time because it's almost where, like, you start to realize, we're not all going to be here forever, and you can't take every second for granted, and you have to not be so antisocial like myself and go out and do things with your family, because this could potentially, you don't want to think like this always, but I mean, it's good to think like it sometimes. But anyway, it's good to think, that this could potentially be the last time that you see somebody, and just different things. Anything could happen at any point in time. So you just got to take advantage of the time that we do have. And just, yeah, I definitely cried. All of my ones that are on mine, I don't know about you, but I cried at all of them.
I bawled like a fucking baby at all of them. There's no doubt about it. And you know what makes that one even more sad is it was almost foretelling, is because that's how he died in real life.
Yeah,
and how
exactly.
they had to actually write him off the show, which makes it even more sad.
It is sad.
My number 5 is Leo McGarry's death on the West Wing, which also happened in real life, which is why they had to write it into the show. It was unexpected in real life, and then they wrote it in as an unexpected death on the show. He was, of course, running as the vice presidential candidate, with Jimmy Smits's character, Santos. I just remember it was so heartbreaking because the people that were there, Christine Chenoweth, she was playing the character that was like his go-to, his assistant, his kind of, and she goes to try to wake him up because he's late, he's not at where he's supposed to be or whatever, and of course we don't see it because he had already passed, so he's not actually, but you just hear her scream from the hotel room, and then the reaction from getting it from everybody, and you could just tell that probably filming this episode was just ridiculously hard because the emotions are real. You can tell that this is real sorrow and real loss that all these people are feeling, because I mean, he had spent the entire time on the show with all of these people. They were family. At this point, they're like 7 years in, and they're like, every day for 7 years. You could just tell that they were absolutely heartbroken, and to have to film that episode. I can't even imagine. So, of course, with that much emotion and that much of it being real conveyed, of course I fucking cried. I was invested to these characters, and I was just like, oh man, it was definitely a hard one to watch for sure.
Oh, for sure. And you've watched West Wing multiple times, so do you cry every time you see this?
I kind of fucking do. I still tear up, man. It's hard. Him and Mrs. Langham's death.
Yeah.
Like, that's a hard one. I'm just like, seeing Sheen go to the church and basically fucking curse out God for taking her life. I'm like, what is going on, man? It's one of the most powerful scenes I've ever seen. But yeah, you'll cry.
Oh my
it's like, is that a good idea? Right. I don't think so.
Exactly. Well, number 4 for me is not death. I tried to make sure not to make all of mine death. Number 4 is This Is Us, and it's when, I think it's the first or second season, very early on, when Kevin ran to help Randall after he sensed that his brother was having a panic attack and completely breaking down in his office, which caused Randall to switch career paths, which you will find out, kind of spoiler alert. But this is such an emotional scene because if you know anything about this show, Randall is the adopted child that is the triplets, and the dynamic between Kevin and Randall throughout the whole series can be very rocky, but this show is so good at showing, when someone they love is going through something, they are there for them. And I think that sense of camaraderie that this whole entire series has is so freaking special. It's definitely one of my favorite shows of all time because I just feel like they did it in such a way that you feel like you're a part of the family. So when I have a lot of, family stuff that a lot of my family deal with panic attacks and depression, anxiety, and things like that. So I connected to that very, very deeply. So yes, that's why I had to put this on my list. And the sense of, I have a brother who is biracial. And so to see that in the television show where obviously they're not the same race, I connected a lot to that situation because I've always felt like I was the one who was supposed to have everything put together, which is what Kevin felt. And my younger brother, who battles with anxiety and depression a lot, is the one who has panic attacks sometimes. So he was in Randall's shoes. So it was very easy to compare my situation to their situation. So that's why I had to put it on my list. Number 4 for me, when Randall has a panic attack in This Is Us. Be sure to watch This Is Us, by the way. It's so good.
And there's basically a crying moment in every fucking episode.
It's true.
Like, I mean, it would be impossible to pick because, I mean, in every episode you cried.
Yeah.
It's just like crazy. Okay. My number 4, I'm kind of throwing it back a little bit. Paul's death, Mr. the incomparable John Ritter. Just unbelievable. But he was on a show called 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter, Kelly Cuoco or Haley Cuoco. I mean, Haley Cuoco, can't even talk. Played the daughter. And this scene, again, because this was an unexpected death that they had to write into the show. And on the show, it was the back and forth between their two characters. He was always giving her shit because she was that bad girl. She was always trying to do the questionable things, but in heart, really, truly a good person, right? Well, in this particular scene, and how they kind of address it, and where I lost my shit because she lost her shit. Basically, she's getting ready to go out of the house on a date, and she's wearing this like skimpy, barely there dress. And as she's walking out the door, nobody says anything to her. The mom doesn't say anything to her. And she turns back around and she starts to cry because her dad would have said, get your ass upstairs and put clothes on. You're not going out there like that. And that was the moment when she realizes the realness of he's not there anymore. And her performance in that episode, again, it was real. That was her really breaking down and realizing that John was no longer there. And holy shit, her breakdown in that scene was something I'll never forget. And the way that it all just kind of happened. If you didn't cry watching that scene, something was seriously wrong.
Yeah.
With you, because you could just, again, just like I said on my number 5, it was genuinely, they were dealing with the loss of their beloved co-actor, their friend, their family member, and whew, It was tough. By the way, if you've never caught that series, go back and watch that series. It's John's last, unfortunately, but it was so fucking good.
Yeah.
It was a really great series. So
for sure, man, for sure. I listened to an interview with Kaylee Cuoco on Scott Feinberg's podcast, Awards Chatter, for the Hollywood Reporter, and yeah, the conversation that they had about John and the show and the dynamic. She did a play by play of that night,
yeah.
and apparently like the day before, like he felt like he was sick, so he like knocked on everybody's door, and taping was canceled or rehearsal was canceled or whatever, and it's like he almost knew, and he said goodbye to every single person that was on set. I'm like, man.
And the sad thing is, it was an unnecessary death because it was misdiagnosed what he had, and it didn't have to happen.
Yeah.
That's just the crazy that makes it even more sad.
Yeah.
Like,
anyway, number 3 for me goes to Sons of Anarchy. It's the series finale when Jack Teller rides into a sunset, or AKA rides right into a semi. Just the same way that I know, not try to bring
saddest moment, but I'm laughing.
Yeah, try to bring some light to a dark situation. But the whole series is basically being a product of your environment. The Jax Teller is basically trying to do right by his bike club. He's trying to do right by his newly found family. He's trying to do right by his family that he was born into, and to live up to his father's legacy, who was also just this bigger than life biker leader, president. And basically he spends the whole series trying to run away from what he was born into, only to realize he's the same exact person as his dad was. So it's one of those situations where he has to, the only way he sees out is by taking the same way that his dad got out, and which was getting hit by a semi. So it's a crazy emotional show. It's definitely one of my all-time favorites. I love Sons of Anarchy, and I love Charlie there, who plays Jax. Everybody who's on that show talks about the emotional ride and the journey they went through with their characters. They felt like their characters took on a whole life of their own. So it's a beautiful show. It's literally Hamlet, but in a biker gang. The writers say that. But it's such an amazing show, and I cry every time. The soundtrack to literally every single season is so emotional and so thrilling. But so yeah, that's why I had to put on my list. Sons of Anarchy, the end where Jax Teller dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's hardcore, man.
It is.
That is hardcore. This one, my number 3, I can't believe you did not have on your list. Like,
not this one, but I thought about another one.
I thought for sure. I think anybody who's ever watched Grey's Anatomy, you cried. I'm sorry, but there's no way you didn't fucking cry. Denny Duquette's death. Come on, man. Come on. When Izzy's in the bed and she's just like in the dress, and she's like, there's no way you can't lose your shit there. That was like the most genuine love story. I thought so well written, so incredibly well written. And I just, I don't think that he gets enough credit as the phenomenal actor that he is. At the same time he was playing Denny, he was playing Papa Winchester.
Completely
dramatically different, and yet he was so unbelievably good playing this dying man and his love for her, and just like, yeah. And I mean, how do you not cry when she's in the dress and she's ready and like, just, oh my God, man, it's one of the most heart-wrenching scenes I've ever seen on television. It was definitely a crying moment for sure.
It was. They didn't have to cut the cord. Denny could have still been alive, but they cut the fucking cord, man. Cut the cord. But yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he's a phenomenal actor.
Unreal. Yeah.
So I love that. That is a good pick. Number 2 for both of us. I mean, because we're such big fans of this type of genre of television. Obviously noted with This Is Us, but this is Us before This Is Us. Parenthood. Parenthood is such a great show with so many different dynamics, and where this big family just all works together to try to help each other out, even when they all have their own shit going on. But the daddy fucking Braverman, when Zeke dies of He has a heart attack, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's heart problems. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a heart attack in the series finale, and that it was just so rough because you could see it like leading up to it, but then when it actually happened, like it's crazy. Like it was such an emotional breakdown where he's just sitting in his chair, and yeah, I mean that cast was just so
Just,
freaking amazing.
I mean, like you said, that I think it was towards the end of season 2. It ran for 5 seasons,
6 seasons.
6 seasons.
Yeah.
And it was towards the end of season 2 where they first kind of hinted at it, that there was some problems, that he had some health issues and stuff. And then you knew. It just, they kept, each season they kept progressing that storyline,
Yeah.
and you were waiting and waiting, but they waited all the way up till the series finale. And like you said, he just passed away in his chair with his family. And it was so, I think it was so sad, and why it was such a crying moment and so hard to get through is because the relationship that he had with all of his family members.
Yeah.
And especially Mae Whitman's character, his granddaughter, who had just given birth to her own baby and named the baby after Zeke. And it was just gut wrenching.
Yeah.
Like you said, Dax Shepard and Lauren Graham and Mae Whitman and Bonnie Bonilla and Peter Krause, and just like that whole cast each and every week just delivered. So you felt like you were a part of the fucking Braverman family.
Exactly.
So when Zeke died, you felt like you lost Zeke. It was just like, fuck my life. And that's not the only one. I mean, they dealt with cancer on there. They dealt with rape on there. That Michael B. Jordan was on there, for Christ's sake. There were so many crying moments, but it had to be the ultimate crying moment or scene had to be when Zeke, the granddaddy of them all, like passed away. It was just,
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw Jason Ritter on Parenthood.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So
just
good.
Another storyline there that was just so good. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Such a good show. If you haven't watched Parenthood, be sure to check it out. You know how it ends now, though.
Yeah, we just totally fucking blew that for you. But
number one for me, this one, I mean, it hits home. Like if you listen to Everything's Okay podcast, where we talk about our mental health struggles, everything we deal with every day, childhood trauma, all the things. Everybody knows about I have separation anxiety, and it has to deal with some family members. So this one hits really big home, and it's Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's when Will's dad leaves again. The in and out of someone's life is so emotional, and especially that scene that him and Uncle Phil have when James Avery and Will Smith, like that dynamic when he's like, how come he doesn't want me? It's like, it has nothing to do with you. And the child doesn't know that at the time. It has nothing to do with the child. It has all to do with the parent. And just that big hug, it was so emotional. And like that whole speech, that monologue, it was so beautiful. So that, I mean, I had to put that as my number one, because every time I watch it, I'm like, I am bawling like a baby. But yeah, number one for me, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when Will's dad leaves.
Okay, number one for me was Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, the season 1 finale, when her dad Mitch finally passed. Holy shit.
Yeah.
This was another series that you just became so emotionally devoted and involved with the family that you felt like you were a part of the family. And in every episode, I cried at least once in every episode. There was literally not a single episode of that series that I didn't cry at least once. But the ending of it, when Mitch finally passes away, it's this extraordinary scene with all of the family and friends, and they're doing it. They're all singing. If you guys don't know anything about this show, they go into these singing monologues with the characters, right? Singing songs that she is hearing in her head, seeing them play out. And that was a horrible way to describe it, but you got to watch this series. Yeah. It's phenomenal. But basically they're all dealing with the loss of him, and it's being done to American Pie. And it was already hard to watch. I was already kind of watering up in the eyes. But when American Pie came on, like Logan said, if you've been listening to our other podcast, I lost my brother. And so I was already kind of feeling really sad about watching something about the loss of a loved one or a family member and stuff. But then American Pie was a very important and just a big part of my life and song with my brother. It was a thing that we shared, that we did this quirky little thing with every year, and that we did together. So when that fucking song came on, I just fucking lost my shit. It looked like a flood in my goddamn room. It was just like, it was so bad because not only was the scene sad and the story was sad, but then that fucking song, I was like, no, fuck you. I was so like, Winsburg, I'm going to get you. I lost it. Everybody in the neighborhood could probably hear me crying. I was fucking bawling so bad, but, yeah, just so well done. That another one where the show dynamic is family and you're just it's so good.
So good, man. We had a lot of these people from these shows on our podcast. So be sure to go back and check out all of their interviews. They're really so down to earth people. Absolutely love them. And I mean, I just always have to say it. Team Simon. Right? If you're watching Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, Team Simon always. John Clarence Stewart, bro. I love you. It's all good. It's all good. But anyway, guys, please let us know your top 5 saddest moments or scenes in your television history. We want to know. Be sure to comment below on the YouTube channel or on Twitter. We love the fan interaction. We love to hear your picks. There's so many good shows out there. So it's so hard to pick just 5. Now, heading over to the box office recap, like we touched on a little bit in the industry news, Shazam! Fury of the Gods came in at number 1 with $30.5 million. Scream 6 came in at number 2 with $17.5 million. Number 3 was Creed 3 with 15.4. Number 4 was 65 with 5.8. I'm honestly surprised that one is staying in the top 5.
I know.
But kudos to Adam Driver and the team. And number 5 is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania with 4.1 million. New movies coming out. You can see now. John Wick 4, that is out right now. So be sure to go check that out. Knock at the Cabin's available right now on Peacock. So you can see that, the M. Night Shyamalan, Batista, all the good people.
Yes.
A Good Person, A School of Magical Animals, and Drain Away is Pure Longing in Sin. Some of these are only at select cinemas, so look up your local showtimes and see what's available near you. I am super excited to watch. You can't watch John Wick by yourself, though, because I got to see your reactions. The first one is just so... You feel like it brings these Bruce Lee movies back to life.
Yeah.
So we're going to watch it. Movies you can still go see right now. Cocaine Bear, Jesus Revolution. I actually really want to see that one. That's the one with Fraser himself, Kelsey Grammer. And then Champions with Woody Harrelson. Avatar, The Way of the Water. And Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. That one's actually out on Peacock right now as well, if you want to check that one out. IMDb Pro's top trending segment. Oh, man. This makes so much sense because I bet it's getting streamed like crazy after the Oscars.
For sure.
The top trending movie is Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you have not checked it out, check it out. It's on Showtime right here, right now. Be sure to do so. The top trending TV show is obviously The Last of Us. So it's a great week to have another Last of Us cast member on the show. And the top trending star is Ashley Johnson from The Last of Us show and video game. She plays Ellie in the video game. And in the show, she plays Ellie's mom. I thought that was like such a nice cherry on top type of situation. I thought,
for sure.
So respectful. I love how they're bringing back the characters from the games to the show. I think that's so special.
Definitely.
We got to thank our guest one more time, Gina Louise Phillips, for coming on the show. Be sure to follow her on Instagram and Twitter. She's absolutely amazing. She shares some awesome content, so be sure to do that. You guys know you can follow us on social media as well at Crazy Ant Media, the flagship social media, and of course, ITCAFpodcast on all social media platforms. You guys know we have the other podcast as well. We talked about it a little bit, our mental health podcast, Everything's Okay. You can follow us at Everything's OKP for OK Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. A TikTok page will be up soon. We will keep you posted on that. And you guys know you can follow us both personally on social media. Myself at J Logan Austin everywhere and anywhere, and
at Crazy Ant CEO.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you guys know, be sure to subscribe to the podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast: Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. If you're watching this video on YouTube, we really appreciate it. Our YouTube numbers have been up. The comments have been great. We love the interaction. We appreciate you. Be sure to keep that going. Hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell for all the latest and greatest notifications we have Going Down in Hollywood. A new Management Minutes is out right now, an important lesson for those who are breaking into the entertainment industry. Be sure to check that out, and be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, for all the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. That's why you got to follow us so you know when the promotional sales happen.
Yes.
Man, oh man, this has been a great episode. I love how in-depth we got about the AI stuff and the Marvel stuff, because I felt like those were the two big stories of the week. So necessary to talk about. But then aside from that, my favorite segment was top 5. That was so.
Oh, yeah.
I was starting to cry up about a few of those, thinking back to those moments.
Yeah, no, same. And then thinking about the ones that we didn't put on the list.
Know.
Like, so yeah, maybe we'll have to come back to this one again at some point. Part 2, yeah, because it was such a good topic, man. Yeah, same. I always love when we deep dive in, and I'm real curious to see where Victoria Alonso ends up.
Right.
Because she's gonna end up somewhere.
Yeah.
Could it be under gun?
Potentially, that would be a huge grab.
I mean, that would be like, wow.
That'd be a huge grab.
She knows her shit. And if given time and not forced under deadlines, we know she can do her shit.
Exactly. Exactly. That's all good, man. That's all good. We would like to say as well, we will be taking a week off from all podcasts. We will still be posting on social media and doing things, but it's good to have that mental health break every once in a while. And we want to get ready for quarter 2. Quarter 1 has been so successful of 2023.
Yes.
So we deserve that week break of just hanging out, chilling, recouping our energy to plow through quarter 2. We're super excited about it. And I mean, it's just been amazing, man.
It has been.
I love it. I love it. And someone else we love, you guys know her. We love her. Oprah! Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. All right.